Inside the mind of a killer. What is criminal profiling? You're at a crime scene. The air is thick with tension and every detail matters. Blood, chaos, and a million questions. Who did this? Why? What drove them to commit such a heinous act? Criminal profiling helps answer those questions. It's a method used to understand the unknown perpetrator. It's like putting together a puzzle, but the pieces are clues left behind by the killer. Each piece, no matter how small, is crucial. Profiling isn't about reading minds. It's about understanding behavior. We look for patterns in the chaos. How did the killer enter the house? What did they take? What did they leave behind? These details tell a story that speaks volumes about the perpetrator's actions and intentions. This story helps us understand the killer's personality, their fears, their motivations, their state of mind. Are they organized, sloppy, angry, powerful? Each trait gives us a glimpse into their psyche. The answers help us narrow down the suspects. We can start to see a profile emerging. Criminal profiling is a tool, not a crystal ball. It guides us, but it doesn't give us all the answers. It's not perfect, but it can be the key to unlocking a case. It provides a direction, a way forward in the investigation. By understanding the mind of the criminal, we can anticipate their next move, prevent future crimes, and bring justice to the victims. It's a meticulous process, connecting dots that seem unrelated, but together they form a picture that can lead us to the perpetrator, helping us to understand not just who they are, but why they did it. Ultimately, criminal profiling is about seeking justice. It's about giving a voice to the victims and ensuring that the perpetrators are held accountable for their actions. The Profiler's Toolbox: Techniques for Unmasking Evil. Profilers use a variety of techniques. One is victimology. We study the victim's life. Who were they? Who would want to hurt them? We also analyze the crime scene. The way a crime is committed tells us a lot about the offender. Was it planned or impulsive? Was the victim tortured? Another technique is psychological profiling. We look for patterns in the killer's behavior. This helps us understand their motives and predict their next move. We also use forensic science. DNA, fingerprints, and other evidence help us link the crime to the perpetrator. Connecting the dots: how profiling aids in solving crimes. Profiling helps investigators prioritize suspects. It can tell us if we're looking for a stranger or someone the victim knew. It can help us develop interview strategies. Knowing the offender's personality helps us ask the right questions. Profiling can also help predict future crimes. If we understand the offender's motives, we might be able to stop them before they strike again. It's important to remember that profiling is just one tool. It's most effective when used in conjunction with other investigative techniques. The Mad Bomber: Profiling in Action. In 1940, New York City lived in fear of the Mad Bomber. The city, bustling with life and energy, was suddenly gripped by a wave of terror. For 16 long years, he planted bombs, terrorizing the city. Clues were scarce, and the police were often left baffled by the lack of evidence. Desperate for a breakthrough, the police turned to psychiatrist James Brussel, hoping his expertise could shed light on the bomber's identity. He meticulously studied the bomber's work, noting the precision and care taken in constructing each device. The bombs were not only complex, but also showed a high level of technical skill, indicating the bomber had a background in engineering or similar fields. Based on his analysis, Brussel theorized that the bomber was a middle-aged man, meticulous in nature, and possibly foreign-born, given the unique characteristics of the bombs. He even went as far as to suggest that the bomber might be wearing a double-breasted suit, a detail that seemed oddly specific but would later prove crucial. Brussel's detailed profile helped narrow down the investigation, providing the police with a clearer direction and renewed hope. Eventually, their efforts paid off. George Metesky, a disgruntled former employee of Con Edison, was arrested. His capture was a significant breakthrough. Remarkably, he fit Brussel's profile perfectly, even down to the double-breasted suit. This case became a landmark in the field of criminal profiling, demonstrating its potential to solve even the most perplexing cases. Section 5. The Trailside Killer. Unveiling a Monster. The 1980s, San Francisco. Hikers were being murdered in broad daylight. Panic gripped the city. Who was the Trailside Killer? The FBI was called in. They studied the crime scenes. The killer was highly organized, choosing remote locations and leaving little evidence. The profile: a white male, familiar with the area, likely a hunter. He enjoyed control and felt superior to his victims. The profile led investigators to David Carpenter, a man with a history of violence against women. He was convicted of multiple murders. Section 6. The Night Stalker's Reign of Terror, a Profile in Darkness. Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker, terrorized Los Angeles in 1985. His crimes were random and brutal. No one was safe. The FBI developed a profile, a narcissistic sadist driven by a need for power and control. He enjoyed the fear he instilled. The profile helped police understand his motives. He wasn't just killing, he was playing God. This insight helped predict his movements. Ramirez was eventually caught, thanks in part to the profile that helped mobilize public vigilance and focus police efforts. Section 7. The Green River Killer, Drowning in Evidence. The Green River Killer case was a nightmare. Bodies of young women, mostly runaways, piled up in the Seattle area in the 1980s. The killer was elusive. He was careful, leaving little evidence. The case went cold for years. Frustration mounted. Ted Bundy, then on death row, offered his insights. He suggested the killer knew the victims, likely returning to the dump sites. Bundy's insights, combined with DNA technology, eventually led to the arrest of Gary Ridgway. He confessed to 49 murders. Section 8. The BTK Killer, a Signature of Terror. Wichita, Kansas, 1974. A family is found murdered. The killer sends a taunting letter to the police, signing it BTK, Bind, Torture, Kill. The BTK killer disappeared for years, then resurfaced in the 1980s and 90s. Each time, he left his chilling signature. The FBI developed a profile, a meticulous planner, obsessed with control and notoriety. He craved attention. His need for attention proved to be his downfall. In 2005, Dennis Rader was arrested after sending a floppy disk to the police, convinced it couldn't be traced. Section 9. Beyond the Headlines, the Evolution of Profiling. Criminal profiling has come a long way since its early days. We have new tools and techniques. We're always learning. We now use sophisticated computer programs to analyze crime data. This helps us identify patterns and predict criminal behavior. We also have a better understanding of the psychology of violence. This helps us develop more accurate profiles. Despite these advances, profiling is still an art as much as a science. It requires experience, intuition, and a deep understanding of human behavior. Section 10. The Future of Catching Killers. Technology and the Mind Hunter. The future of profiling is exciting. New technologies are emerging all the time. These tools will help us catch killers faster. Artificial intelligence will play a big role. AI can analyze massive amounts of data, identifying patterns we might miss. Virtual reality will also be important. VR can create realistic crime scene simulations, helping investigators understand the crime. But technology is only part of the equation. We still need skilled profilers, people who can understand the darkest corners of the human mind. Section 11. The Enduring Legacy of Criminal Profiling. This practice has been a cornerstone in modern law enforcement, shaping the way we approach criminal investigations. Criminal profiling has changed the way we catch killers. By analyzing patterns and behaviors, profilers can predict and identify potential suspects with remarkable accuracy. It has helped bring countless criminals to justice. High-profile cases, once thought unsolvable, have been cracked wide open thanks to the insights provided by skilled profilers. It has also helped us understand the nature of evil. By delving into the psyche of criminals, we gain a deeper understanding of what drives them to commit such heinous acts. By studying the minds of killers, we learn how to better protect ourselves. This knowledge is not just for law enforcement. It empowers communities to be more vigilant and proactive. Profiling is not a perfect science. There are limitations and challenges, including the risk of false positives and the evolving nature of criminal behavior. But it is an invaluable tool in the fight against crime. Law enforcement agencies around the world rely on profiling to narrow down suspects and prevent future crimes. And it will continue to evolve as we learn more about the criminal mind. Advances in technology and psychology are constantly refining profiling techniques, making them more accurate and effective. The hunt for justice never ends. Every solved case brings us one step closer to a safer society, but the work is never truly finished. And as long as there are monsters among us, there will be those who seek to understand them. The quest to comprehend the darkest corners of the human mind is ongoing, driven by a relentless pursuit of justice and safety for all. Subscribe and don't forget to take care of yourselves. Goodbye.